Let me emphasize this is not a formal report session. It is a conversation. It is important to me to personally clarify the rationale behind the decision we are taking, to listen carefully to your questions and expectations, and where appropriate, to outline the next step. I would like to sincerely thank all countries and organizations that submitted questions in advance. The depth and range of these questions reflect maturity, responsibility, and genuine interest in the institutional development of IBSA. Representatives of the IBSA administration are present today and will support discussion where necessary. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the IBSA administration for their professional and dedicated work, which underpins many of the reforms and initiatives currently underway. Before we begin, I would also like to add a personal note. I have prepared answers to all questions submitted in advance. I personally sat down and worked through each one carefully. It was important to me to read every question attentively and respond thoughtfully. If you don't mind, my assistant will read the prepared responses so that we can use our time efficiently and move more quickly to the live online questions and discussions. The reading of these prepared answers will take approximately 40 minutes. I kindly ask for your patience and understanding. I believe it is important that every question is addressed thoroughly and transparently. I am confident that the information shared will be of interest and value to all members. I sincerely hope that today's meeting becomes a foundation of a regular and open dialogue between IBSA leadership and its members. Thank you once again for your participation, your engagement, and your willingness to contribute constructively. Thank you very much. Let us begin. Please, Elnur.
Good morning, good afternoon. Yes, I will be reading the answers to the questions that were submitted previously. The first question is, what is IBSA's current position regarding participation of athletes from Russia and Belarus? Answer is the following. At present, the membership of the Russian Federation and the Republic of Belarus in IBSA is partially suspended. They participate in the activities of the Federation without voting rights. Athletes from these countries are allowed to participate in IBSA competitions only in individual disciplines and exclusively under neutral status, subject to full compliance with all applicable conditions. This approach was adopted by a decision of the IBSA Executive Board and is currently in force. At the same time, I would like to note that the validity period of this decision has now reached its end. And in accordance with our procedures, IBSA must take a new decision on this matter. This issue is currently under active discussion. Several possible options are being considered, and the process is being conducted strictly within IBSA's established institutional framework. I would like to clearly emphasize that IBSA will take its decision as an independent international federation based on its responsibilities, rules, and principles, independently of decisions taken by other international sports federations. I expect that the final decision will be adopted and officially announced in the near future. The next question is the following. What is IBSA's perspective on the process of centralizing vision impairment classification through the IPC? How will this work in practice? For example, will the IPC only coordinate the appointment and training of classifiers, or will it also manage athlete profiles and classification documentation? The answer is the following. I would like to start by clarifying the terminology. The term centralization of classification does not fully and accurately describe the process that is currently taking place. In practice, what is being centralized is the training and education of classifiers, leading to their certification, not the classification system as a whole. Under the current reform, this training process is coordinated by the International Paralympic Committee. It is important to note that each international federation covers the related IPC activities from its own budget. All other classification functions remain fully within the international federation, including IBSA. And this includes the management of classification process, the appointment of classifiers, the handling of classification documentation, and the management of athlete profiles and all the related operational procedures. At present, IBSA therefore retains full responsibility for the management of vision impairment classification. IBSA has agreed to IPC involvement in classifier training as a temporary measure. In parallel, IBSA is developing its own comprehensive system for education and professional preparation, including the training of classifiers. Once this system is implemented, IBSA will independently manage both the training and certification of its classifiers. And these developments are reflected in IBSA Executive Board decisions and official publications, all of which are publicly available on the IBSA website. Looking at the longer-term strategic perspective, I would add the following. Given that vision impairment classification relates primarily to IBSA, both in terms of the number of athletes and the range of sports, IBSA's long-term objective is to become a central expert authority for vision impairment classification across all sports, not only those governed by IBSA. This objective requires careful preparation and a phased approach. However, we believe it is achievable and will work consistently towards it. In the near future, the IBSA Executive Board will also consider and approve updated IBSA classification rules aligned with the IPC classification code. The next question. Is IBSA currently investing or initiating any research projects in the field of classification, similar to those already undertaken in para-judo in other Paralympic sports? The answer is, this is indeed a very timely and important question. Yes, IBSA is already implementing and planning research projects in the field of classification. In recent years, IBSA has completed research projects in blind football and goalball, which have produced practical outcomes and contributed to the further development of classification systems in these sports. IBSA is now also preparing to launch a new research initiative under the working title The Use of AI, Artificial Intelligence, in Vision Assessment for Classification. We believe this project has the potential to play in a significant role in the future development of classification, particularly by improving objectivity, reducing subjective variability, and supporting the work of classifiers. I would like to clearly emphasize that artificial intelligence is viewed as a supportive tool, not as a replacement for classifiers. All classification decisions will continue to be made by qualified professionals. At the same time, IBSA has taken concrete steps to strengthen the working conditions and independence of classifiers, which is directly linked to classification quality. These measures include increasing daily allowance for classifiers from 25 to 100 euros, covering travel and accommodation costs for classifiers directly from the IBSA budget, significantly reducing dependence on local organizing committees, introducing annual planning of classifier assignments rather than ad hoc arrangements, and applying a principle of engaging classifiers from neighboring countries whenever possible to improve efficiency and sustainability. All these actions serve one objective: to enhance the quality, independence, and long-term reliability of IBSA's classification system. Next question. Following extraordinary General Assembly held in October, a substantial volume of information and documentation has been distributed to member organizations. As English is not the first language for many countries, it can be challenging and to fully and promptly understand all materials. Will it be possible for IBSA to prepare summaries or guidance on key information, or alternatively to compile and publish the materials as a single structured information package? The answer is, you're absolutely right that the volume of decisions and materials has increased significantly in recent months. This is directly linked to the fact that IBSA has accelerated and expanded its reform process. At the same time, we are making a conscious effort to work with our members in an open and inclusive manner to share information through different formats. In some cases, we circulate documents at the draft stage to receive feedback and comments. In other cases, we share a final executive board decision together with their annexes. All such materials are distributed to members by email and also published on the official IBSA website in the publication section. As of today, over 40 executive board documents have already been published. This is indeed a substantial volume, but all materials are available in open access and can be reviewed in a structured and timely manner. In addition, IBSA will soon launch a digital platform for monitoring the implementation of decisions. This digital platform will be open to all members and will allow them to follow the progress of specific decisions and projects in an online format. With regard to language accessibility, the IBSA website already includes built-in translation functionalities, and we intend to further develop and expand these features across all sections of the website. If members have additional suggestions on how this work can be improved, we are open to such input and ready to consider it. Question. In relation to the previous question, would it be possible for IBSA to provide member organizations with more time to internally consider and discuss important matters? For example, in the case of membership fees or access to ISAs, the response deadline was only 10 days, which proved insufficient for organizations with multi-layered decision-making process. The answer. We take these comments seriously and consider it a constructive proposal. IBSA is prepared to apply a flexible approach to consultation timelines, taking into account the importance and complexity of the issues under consideration. At the same time, it is necessary to strike a balance between allowing sufficient time for internal consultation and maintaining the momentum of reforms and decision-making processes. In some cases, a 10-day period may be sufficient. However, we also recognize that for organizations with multi-level governance structures, additional time may be required in certain situations. This proposal will therefore not be overlooked, but will be taken into account when planning future consultation processes and response timelines. Question. We understand that IBSA is acting in accordance with its constitution. However, we would have appreciated receiving more detailed information at the General Assembly, particularly regarding the actual level of membership fees and all licensing fees. We believe that disclosing such information at the EGA would enhance transparency and trust towards IBSA's decision-making process. Thank you for sharing this view. I fully agree that transparency and fairness are fundamental principles in IBSA's work. As you correctly noted, in taking these decisions, the IBSA Executive Board acted strictly within the mandate granted to it by the IBSA Constitution. For this reason, all relevant draft documents were circulated to IBSA members in advance to allow for review and the submission of comments. Only after the consultation deadline has passed were these matters submitted to the Executive Board for consideration and approval. As I mentioned in response to the previous question, IBSA is prepared to review and, where appropriate, extend consultation periods, while fully respecting the decision-making procedures established by the IBSA Constitution. I would like to recall that during the Extraordinary General Assembly held in October, the policy on new membership regulation was discussed. including membership fees, associate membership, and other related aspects. These topics were further addressed during the seminar held the day following the assembly. I take note of your suggestions and can assure you that IBSA will, going forward, pay even closer attention to information sharing and consultation with its members while maintaining institutional stability and constitutional compliance. Question: has the revised IBSA constitution been submitted to the German authorities, and were there any implications arising from this process? Answer: all amendments to the IBSA constitution were prepared with the direct and active involvement of our German legal advisors. As you may recall, Dr. Stefan personally attended the IBSA Extraordinary General Assembly, at which these amendments were discussed and adopted. Following their proposal, I personally traveled to Bonn, met with the notary, and submitted the full package of constitutional amendments for formal registration, in accordance with the requirements of German law for organizations registered in Germany. At this stage, the process is in the final phase of registration. No objections or requests for additional amendments have been raised by the notary or the German authorities, and we expect the formal registration to be completed in the near future. Question: when will be the revised IBSA bylaws submitted to the membership for their consideration? Answer: the draft IBSA bylaws have already been prepared. They are currently under review by our German legal advisors, which is a necessary step to ensure full compliance with the IBSA constitution and applicable legal requirements. Once this legal review is completed, the draft bylaws will be circulated to all IBSA members for review and the submission of comments. We expect this to take place in the near future. Question: the IPC requires its members to submit any change to the Constitution for IPC consideration. Has IBSA's Constitution been submitted to the IPC? And does IBSA have any concerns or require clarification? Answer: IBSA is an independent international federation. We are a member of the IPC as one of the 3 international organizations of sport for the disabled. The IPC requirement to submit constitutional amendments does not apply to IBSA. This requirement is mandatory for national IPC members, primarily national Paralympic committees. IBSA, like the IPC itself, operates under the German law, which constitutes the legal basis for the adoption and registration of amendments to our constitution. Question: does the IBSA Executive Board accept the 8-team format as a new normal for the Paralympic Games, or is there an active and concrete strategy to lobby the IPC to restore the allocation to 10 or 12 teams for LA 2028? How does IBSA intend to address the lack of opportunity this cap creates for top 10 nations now excluded from the Games, despite significant domestic investment? Answer: this is very important and genuinely pressing issue. Naturally, it is in IBSA's interest to increase the number of goalball teams participating in the Paralympic Games. We are fully aware of the level of attention and investments that countries dedicate to the development of this sport. Unfortunately, despite our efforts and active lobbying, it has not been possible to change the number of participating teams, and the Paralympic Games in Los Angeles 2028 will also feature 8 teams. We do not consider the 8-team format to be the norm. However, there are currently several objective factors that limit any expansion, and these include IPC requirements and constraints, conditions set by the host countries, and the very high competition among sports seeking inclusion or expansion within the Paralympic Games program. We are certainly not giving up, but we must be honest. This is a highly complex issue. A clear example is women's blind football. IBSA has been working for many years to develop the women's game globally, yet it has not been included in the Paralympic Games so far. Only recently have we seen a realistic opportunity for inclusion at the Brisbane Games, which illustrates just how demanding and long-term this process can be. IBSA will continue to pursue this objective consistently and persistently, fully aware of the challenges involved. Question. As the IBSA's Academy begins to roll out in 2026, how can we mature federations such as Goalball UK formally accredit their international development work within the IBSA academic framework? Specifically, will IBSA create a development partner status, allowing experienced nations to deliver IBSA-approved credits or certifications in developing regions? Answer. Thank you for raising this topic. I truly believe that the educational project recently approved by the IBSA Executive Board is one of the most important initiatives within the IBSA. Work on this project has already begun. Our objective is to build a digital education platform that will create effective and unified conditions for the education and training of all key IBSA personnel. We are open to cooperation with all interested organizations, and I would like to explain how I see the potential role of experienced federations such as yours. The IBSA Academy platform will provide theoretical education for coaches, referees, and officials, technical personnel, classifiers, and other specialists. This education will be structured across several theoretical levels, with progression from the one level to the next possible only after successfully passing the relevant examinations. After completing the final theoretical level, participants will be required to undertake practical training, followed by a practical examination, upon successful completion of which they will receive the relevant IBSA certification. It is precisely at the level of practical education and assessment that IBSA sees meaningful opportunities for cooperation with experienced national federation and organizations. Such organizations may work with IBSA and receive appropriate authorization to contribute to practical training processes. This is one of the examples of how such cooperation could function. With regard to the idea of a development partner status, this is indeed an interesting concept. It aligns more closely with IBSA's new mentorship program, which is currently under development. Within this program, countries and organizations with proven experience and capacity will be able to receive an appropriate status and provide mentorship and technical support, including in developing regions such as Africa. This project will be officially presented in the near future, after which we will be able to move forward with its implementation. Question. Recent discussions surrounding the explanatory note on the application of Rule 48.2 for qualification to the 2026 World Championship have raised concerns about the complexity of the ratio formula. Can the President commit to a review of the qualification pathways for 2027-2030 cycle to simplify this process? Additionally, does IBSA plan to introduce mechanisms to reduce the financial burden of hosting international events, particularly in light of rising costs in Europe and regional development strategies? Answer. I am also fully aware of the extensive discussions surrounding this issue. A number of countries have expressed dissatisfaction with the committee's decision, as well as with the qualification criteria and rules being applied. I understand these concerns. Everyone wants to qualify for the World Championships. However, the number of participating teams is limited, and these are existing rules in place that have been applied for many years and were adopted well before my presidency. The Goalball Committee did explore the possibility of modifying these rules, but encountered resistance from certain countries. As a result, a decision was taken to introduce new mechanisms only after the Paralympic Games in Los Angeles. We must be extremely careful when adjusting rules in Paralympic sports. Any error or lack of precision could have serious consequences and jeopardize the sport's position within the Paralympic Games program. For this reason, and following consultation with relevant experts, a decision was made to postpone the implementation of new rules until and after the Los Angeles Games. With regard to the current rules, I do not consider them excessively complex or burdensome. The challenge lies less in the formula itself and more in the fact that stakeholders often attempt to interpret it in a way that best serves their own interests, creating a vacuum of competing interpretations. At the same time, there is a committee and a federation responsible for interpreting and applying the rules strictly within their mandate and solely in the interest of the athletes. I can state clearly and unequivocally that new rules have been developed and will be implemented, but only after the Paralympic Games in Los Angeles. Regarding the cost of hosting competitions, this matter is a priority for IBSA and remains under constant review. This is precisely why IBSA has begun to assume certain costs normally borne by local organizing committees, with the aim of reducing financial pressure and overall hosting cost. If there are additional mechanisms or constructive proposals that could further support this objective, I'm open to discussing them. I believe that the rising cost of hosting competition is a challenge faced by all international federations, not only IBSA. In fact, in many cases, the overall cost of IBSA competitions remains significantly lower than that of a number of other international organizations. Even with an increase in capitation fees, IBSA has set them at a considerably lower level than is common elsewhere. Without naming specific organizations, there are many events where capitation fees alone reach 800 to 1,000 euros, not including accommodation and travel costs. That said, this should not make us complacent. IBSA fully recognizes the financial risk associated with hosting competition, particularly at youth and development levels. For this reason, IBSA intends to develop subsidy mechanisms, including through partnership models, sponsorship arrangements, and other supportive financial instruments. This work is a part of our planning, and we will continue to move forward in this direction. Question: when is the next IBSA elective General Assembly scheduled? Answer: the next IBSA elective General Assembly is scheduled for 2027. It is planned to take place in conjunction with the IBSA World Games, which are expected to be held in Tashkent, provisionally in May-June 2027. The final dates and organizational details will be confirmed and officially communicated to the membership in due course. Question: are there financial incentives, such as grants, available to IBSA member countries for promotional projects or for organizing IBSA-sanctioned international events? Answer: I would like to begin by clarifying the approach. It is not entirely clear what is meant by financial incentives for countries wishing to host competition. There is a fundamental difference between supporting cost reduction and expecting a financial profit from hosting events. If the question relates to generating financial gain from hosting competition, this does not align with the philosophy or current practice of IBSA. In the past, there were cases where funds intended for the development of IBSA sport, including grants and partnership resources, were used to support competitions in individual countries. This practice belongs to the past and will not continue. If, however, the question refers to subsidizing certain costs in order to reduce the financial burden of hosting events, this is something IBSA is prepared to consider. I would like to state my position very clearly. I strongly believe in mutual cooperation, not in one-sided expectations. IBSA and its members have different but complementary responsibilities. National federations are responsible to their athletes at the national level, developing sport locally and seeking opportunities and resources. IBSA, in turn, provides global coordination, and the systemic framework for sport development, including anti-doping systems, classification, education and capacity building, standardization and certification, ethics, anti-corruption mechanisms, and safeguarding. As you can see, IBSA carries a very broad range of responsibilities. For this reason, I do not support an approach based on a constant, one-sided demands towards IBSA. I support partnership, coordination, and a shared responsibility for the development of sport. Question. All participants in IBSA activities are required to complete an anti-doping course, renewed every 2 years. Our athletes report that this training is not fully accessible. Is IBSA planning a detailed accessibility review to improve it? Answer. The anti-doping certificate is an integral part of IBSA education program and anti-doping policy. Since 2025, IBSA has required athletes to obtain an anti-doping certificate, and in 2026, this requirement was incorporated into the licensing procedure. The relevant information and materials were distributed to all national federations by email and were also published on the IBSA website. With regard to accessibility, we are aware of the challenges that currently exist. In particular, athletes in the B1 category may experience difficulties when using their current online course. IBSA works in partnership with WADA, and the new courses currently being introduced by WADA will meet the same accessibility standards as the anti-doping course used for the Winter Paralympic Games, which is fully accessible. At the same time, as outlined in our official communications, national federations currently have alternative options to ensure that athletes obtain the required anti-doping certification. The first option is to contact the National Anti-Doping Agency and request an additional activity. Such activities are recognized by IBSA as valid anti-doping education. Second option is to use an IBSA educational seminar. In your case, this seminar can be delivered online and in Spanish by IBSA's head of anti-doping. National federations simply need to contact Juliana Suarez to arrange the session. In addition, IBSA has upgraded its anti-doping mobile app, which now supports all languages and includes enhanced accessibility feature. Question. IBSA has started conducting IBCA has started conducting classification checks in chess and states that it is using the IBSA model. Was there any formal cooperation between IBSA and IBCA, such as training, consultation, or the support to ensure that IBSA classification protocols are being followed? Answer. At present, the situation is as follows. IBCA or IBCA has introduced a rule under which visual acuity checks are carried out for 5 to 10 athletes at each major competition. I would like to emphasize that this practice does not apply to IBSA sanctioned events. These checks are conducted in ophthalmology clinics in the host city and are performed by local ophthalmologists, not by IBSA classifiers. I do not consider this practice to be restrictive in nature. On the contrary, the fact that classification issues are receiving increased attention within international organization can be seen as a positive development. At the same time, I believe that there should be more active and structured coordination between IBSA and IBCA, given that the functions relating to athletes with visual impairment are similar. The approaches to classification should be aligned and harmonized as much as possible. Furthermore, I believe it would be appropriate to explore closer partnership opportunities, including the potential for joint events or competitions, where these serves the interests of the athletes. I have therefore asked our chess committee to engage closely with this matter with the aim of ensuring clarity, coordination, and the possible development of constructive cooperation. Question. Could you let us know when detailed information about 2027 IBSA World Games, including competition dates and the sports programs, will be announced? If any details have already been confirmed, we would appreciate it if you could share them. Answer. As you are aware, the IBSA Executive Board has approved the hosting of 2027 IBSA World Games in Tashkent, Uzbekistan. The games are provisionally scheduled for May-June 2027. And the IBSA administration has already signed the relevant agreement with the National Paralympic Committee of Uzbekistan. At present, the detailed action plan is being finalized and the sports program of the games is being structured and confirmed. We expect to officially announce further details in the near future, including the confirmed competition dates and the approved sports program. Question. A number of countries from the Americas region have expressed concerns regarding IBSA's financial model, regional participation in events, support mechanisms, the organization of competitions, and the future strategic development of IBSA at the continental level. Answer. First of all, I would like to note that I have already sent 2 official letters addressing these matters to the countries of the region, and we have been engaged in an open and active dialogue. I sincerely appreciate that. Today, I will not repeat the contents of those letters, but I believe it is important to briefly restate a few fundamental principles. IBSA is undergoing a systemic institutional reform. This reform concerns governance, the financial model, and the distribution of responsibilities. The key principle is equal rules for all members of the federation. We have moved away from the individual arrangements and selective approaches. Today, IBSA invests primarily in the system itself: anti-doping, classification, education, standardization, certification, safeguarding, and the institutional development of sport. This is not a regional issue. It is a matter of organizational sustainability. At the same time, IBSA remains open to cooperation through structural support mechanisms, partnership projects, and joint development initiatives. The IBSA administration is ready to consider all initiatives related to hosting competitions, seminars, and other events. We do not apply selective criteria, only transparent standards of effectiveness, feasibility, and accessibility. Official applications should be submitted and they will be reviewed in an established, transparent, and professional manner. I personally welcome the expansion of the geographical footprint of IBSA events and the strengthening of our presence in the Americas region and in all other regions. Furthermore, our strategic plans include the establishment of professional IBSA continental offices, as well as the organization of continental IBSA World Games. These will allow us to improve coordination, strengthen our regional presence, and attract new countries and new athletes into our movement. IBSA and its members and our partners, we share a common responsibility towards our athletes. We will continue this dialogue and move forward systemically and consistently. And the last question. South Sudan submitted a number of questions related to the development of blind football, participation in competitions, education and certification pathways, funding mechanisms, equipment support, and strategic cooperation for the development of sport in Africa. Answer. First of all, I would like to express our sincere appreciation for the initiative shown by South Sudan and its commitment to developing blind football. This is exactly the type of engagement we want to encourage in Africa. IBSA provides all member nations with access to educational materials, coaching guidelines, and video resources. Africa is represented in the IBSA Football Committee with full voting rights, and regional championships are organized under the same principles as in other continents. South Sudan has already been officially informed about its quota for participation in the 2026 African Championship. We are launching online certification programs for coaches, referees, and technical officials, which will allow developing countries to build qualified personnel without the need for significant international travel expenses. In addition, IBSA is introducing a mentorship program through which more experienced federations will support emerging nations in building sustainable structures. IBSA does not distribute direct grants. However, we are developing structured support mechanism. We have already begun cooperation with international humanitarian organizations including AIDA, the Agency for the International Development, which is involved in projects in Africa. We intend to continue this cooperation in Asia and the Americas as well, particularly in relation to providing essential equipment to developing organizations. At the same time, we are in discussions with FIFA and the Confederation of African Football regarding cooperation aimed at strengthening and expanding blind football on the continent. Let me emphasize, IBSA is committed to the development of Africa and to expanding the number of participating countries and athletes. However, sustainable development must be based on partnership, coordinated work, and equal application of common rules. South Sudan has taken an important step by becoming a member of IBSA, and we are ready to support its continued development. Thank you.
Thank you, Elnur. Thank you for the
Thank
detailed
you, Elnur.
information. So we will now.
Mən istəyirəm bir-iki sual olub ona cavab verirəm, sonra bir suala Rüfət cavab verər, sonra davam edərik. Artıq chatlara suallar gəlir.
Bunları elan
We now are receiving questions through the chat window here. That's going to make also some comments
Mən belə
before that.
başlayacağım. Amerika ölkələri yazıblar.
And I see some of the questions are coming from the Americas region.
Çox yaxşı sualdır və bu sual bizim Baş Assambleya, General Assembleyalara aiddir.
Very good question. This is something that is related to the General Assembly.
Və bizim üzvlər fikir bildirirlər ki, bəzən onların imkanları olmur ki, assambleyada iştirak eləsinlər. Olar mı ki, assambleyalar onlayn keçsin?
And our members saying that some of them, unfortunately, do not have opportunity to travel and participate in an offline meeting. So the question is, will it be possible to hold the General Assembly in an online format?
Mən qeyd etmək istəyirəm ki, bizim konstitusiya dəyişikliklərimizdən biri əsas elə bu məsələyə aid olmuşdur.
And I would like to point out that one of the amendments and change that we proposed to be done to the Constitution was actually specifically about that.
Antalyadakı dəyişikliklərə qədər köhnə konstitusiyadan biz onlayn General Assembleyaları keçirə bilməzdik.
And prior to our General Assembly and discussions in Antalya, before that, our Constitution did not allow us to meet for the General Assembly online.
Məhz bizim yeni konstitusiyaya görə bizdə bu imkan artıq var.
And specifically due to the fact that we have with our new constitution, we have this opportunity to hold the meetings online.
Buna görə də biz gələcəkdə online baş assambleyaları keçirəcəyik.
And therefore, in the future, we will be able to carry out and organize general assemblies in an online way.
Amma mən istərdim ki, online imkanımız olsa belə biz heç olmasa 4 ildən bir yerdə üz-üzə yığışaq.
And even though we will have an opportunity to hold it online, I will still root for and encourage members to meet once every 4 years in an offline way to see each other and be in front of each other.
Bu bizi daha da yaxınlaşdırır.
This, I think, brings
us
closer.
İmkan verir birbirimizdən ünsiyyətli olmaq.
This brings us closer to each other and gives us an opportunity to have a face-to-face conversation.
Amma hər halda imkanlarımız.
I think we do have opportunities and capacity.
Sponsorlarla bağlı sual verirlər.
There's another question regarding sponsorship.
Və bu bizim üçün çox aktual bir məsələdir.
This is also a very relevant topic for us.
Biz üç istiqamət üzrə işləyirik.
We are working in these 3 directions regarding sponsorship.
Biri beynəlxalq idman təşkilatları ilə əlaqələrin qurulması.
One is about engagement and our cooperation with international sports organizations and to use these opportunities.
Məsələn, Beynəlxalq Judo Federasiyası kimi, UEFA, FIFA və bunların bənzər təşkilatlar kimi.
International Judo Federation, UEFA, FIFA, and other similar international organizations is one direction.
Çox yaxşı işlərimiz var və birgə layihələrimiz var.
We do have a number of achievements and several joint projects.
İkinci istiqamətimiz humanitar təşkilatlarla əlaqələrin qurulması və onların vasitəsilə ehtiyacı olan ölkələrə idman avadanlıqlarının təchiz edilməsi.
And the second track for us is our work with humanitarian organizations and through them provide sports equipment to those countries in need.
O ki qaldı əsas pul verən sponsorlara Təəssüflər olsun ki, hələ bizdə İBSA-da bu olmayıb və yoxdur.
Regarding the sponsors that provide the most of the money, let's say the funding, unfortunately in IBSA we didn't have it before, we don't have it now.
Bunun üçün biz İBSA-nın öz səviyyəsini qaldırmalıyıq.
For that we need to raise the level of IBSA itself as an
İBSA-da
organization.
şəffaflığı artırmalıyıq.
We need to ensure and increase the transparency at IBSA.
İBSA-nı irəlidə gedən federasiyalar cərgəsinə daxil etməliyik.
We need to include the IBSA in the leading names of the leading federation all over the world.
Siz hamınız görürsünüz ki, biz bu yoldayıq.
You have already seen and witnessed that we are on the right track and moving towards that.
Mən əminəm ki, bundan sonra biz buna nail olsaq, qısa müddətdə İBSA-ya sponsorların marağı artacaq.
And I am sure that if we achieve this result of bringing IBSA to that level, the sponsors will be much more interested in working with us.
Bir sual futbolla bağlı var idi. Yəqin Rüfət ona cavab verər.
There was another question regarding football. Probably Rufat is going to address that.
Buyur Rüfət.
Please, Rufat, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. There is a question from Argentina about including women football to the 2027 Pan American Games in Peru. So we, as a IBSA, already applied to IMPC, America's Paralympic Committee, with the application about our including the women football. Also, we presented them the medal ceremonies do not affect the additional budget. And on the 24th of February, there is a deadline. And after the deadline, we are waiting for the decision of the IMPC regarding which sports and what types will be included in the games. After that, we will inform our members as well. And then, for the live sessions, we will have around 15 minutes, but already some of them are past. So let's go by the next question. There is from the Estonia, Alfred Warnik raised hand and wants to have a question. Just for the information, like 3 minutes will be given for each to ask the question. And then we have another question, I think from the Moldova, Alexander Korsebas. And then we have another from the Americas as well. So Alfred Warnik.
Yeah, hi. Thank you very much for the floor. I've got two questions. One of them is identical to that with Moldova, so I think you're going to get to that as well. But my question is more so to do with the housekeeping. So I'm just wondering whether the questions and responses that were read out earlier, are those going to be sent to all the members of IBSA in written form as well? I understand that you're doing a recording, but is there going to, and there's a transcript, but are these going to be sent out as a written form as well? Thanks.
So thank you very much for your question. I think that we already recording it, so then we will share with the transcript of the meeting with all the members with the questions and the answers as well. The next question from Alexander Korsebas. Sorry, Alexander, are you here? You are from, just for the protocol.
Moldova.
Okay, great. So, Mr. President, should I answer? So we already had some communication with Moldova about this topic. Mr. President, are you going to answer the question, or should I?
Please.
The question is, this year membership fee have been increased, and which is adopted for each.
Mən sual cavab verərəm.
Please.
Mən verərəm cavab. Bu artıq biz əvvəlki böyük bir sual cavabda buna toxunduq bir neçə dəfə.
We have touched upon that several times in this previous Q&A session.
Və bunları yenə sizə göndərəcəyik.
And we will share the answers with you.
Hamınız oxuyarsınız.
Everyone will have an opportunity to read them.
Amma mən yenə də ona qayıtmaq istəyirəm ki, uzun müddətdir ki, İBSA-da illərlə üzvlük haqqları dəyişmir.
And I would like to still go back to this point. For many, many years, the IBSA membership fees have not been changed.
İBSA böyüyür.
IBSA is growing.
Yarışların sayı çoxalır.
The number of competitions is going up.
xərclər çoxalır
the costs are increasing,
və biz hamımız istəyirik ki, IBSA inkişaf eləsin.
and we want IBSA to develop, all of us.
Paralimpiya oyunlarına qatılaq,
Join Paralympic Games,
regionlar inkişaf eləsin,
develop the regions where we are,
yarışların sayını çoxaldaq.
increase the number of competitions.
Biz oturduq bunu analiz elədik
We sit down and analyze this situation.
və belə bir faktla rastlaşdıq. Mən qeyd etdiyim kimi illərlə nəinki üzvlük haqqılar dəyişmir.
And we come across an interesting fact that for many, many years, not that the membership fees did not change only,
Və bunların təyin olunmasının heç bir əsası yox idi.
there was no kind of basis for defining these fees.
Siz əvvəlki üzvlük haqqılarına fikir versəz,
If you look
görəcəksiniz
at the
ki,
previous membership fees,
bir çox ölkələr ildə
many countries
200 evro üzvlük haqqı verir.
would pay 200 euros as a membership fee.
Heç bir fərq qoyulmadı.
No difference between them
Belə
whatsoever.
deyil də, hamısı uravnilov.
It was like a flat approach, everyone equal.
Böyük iqtisadiyyatı olan ölkələrdə 200 evro verirdi.
The countries with the larger economies paid 200
Bəziləri
euros.
500 evro verirdi.
Somebody would pay 500.
Bir balaca iqtisadiyyatı olan da 200 evro
A
verirdi.
smaller country would give also 200.
Və təsəvvür edin ki, hər bir ölkə əksəriyyəti ilə 200 evro üzvlük haqqı verir.
And you see that most of the countries in the world, they would pay 200 euros as a membership fee.
Mən dediyim kimi, biz İBSA-nı qabağa aparmaq istəyiriksə,
And as I'm saying,
200 evro ilə biz heç yerə gedəsi deyil.
as I'm saying, if we want to move IBSA forward, I think advanced goal with this 200 euros for membership fee, we will not be able to make it anywhere.
Və biz əsas tapdıq və iqtisadiyyata uyğun olaraq ölkələr arasında diferensiasiya elədik.
And
üzvlük
we
haqqı.
find the kind of the basis for that, the foundational basis for this, for differentiation between the countries in terms of their economical
İqtisadiyyata görə
situation.
4 qrup oldu.
So we have 4 groups based on the economy of the country.
Yüksək iqtisadiyyatlı ölkələr,
Evet.
ondan biraz geri qalanlar, orta iqtisadiyyatı və az iqtisadiyyatı.
Basically, the breakdown will be the countries with the strongest economy, less strong, the medium, and lower.
Bu rəsmi statistikadır və istənilən insan bunu açıq-aşkar Dünya Bankının göstəricilərinə girib bunu görə bilər. Öz ölkəsi hansı qrupadır.
This is official statistics, and everyone is able to go online and check it on the World Bank official data. You can see also your country's economic positioning by the stats and indicators by the World Bank.
Və beləliklə biz birincisi əsas yarada bildik,
So we,
hesablama əsası.
by that, we designed the basis for calculation of these fees.
İkincisi, ölkələr arasında fərq əmələ gətirdik.
Secondly, we ensured that
Yəni ədalətlik yaratdıq.
we ensured justice and a fair approach between the countries.
Və eyni zamanda da İBSA-nın büdcəsinə daxil olan vəsaitlərə də bu təbii ki toxundu.
And this, of
Bir
course,
çoxaldı vəsait.
this of course has also a positive impact on the funds that are accumulated in IBSA.
Bu da bizə imkan verdi yeni layihələrə başlayaq. Education layihəsinə, standartizasiya layihəsinə, bizim idman komitələrinin professionallaşdırma layihəsinə.
And this, of course, these funds allowed us to start new projects such as projects regarding education, standardization, and also the sports committee.
Siz bilirsiniz ki, bizim idman komitələrimiz volonterdir.
You know that all our sports committee are volunteering.
Amma bu ildən başlayaraq biz artıq idman komitələrinin müəyyən işçilərinə maaş vermək başlamışıq.
But as of this year, to certain people working in our sports committee, we now are able to pay their salaries.
Və bu da imkan verəcək ki, onlar daha effektiv, daha da həvəslə motivasiyanı işləsin.
And this, of course, will encourage them and will make their work much more effective.
Və bu hamısı həmin o membership siyasətinin dəyişdirilməsi imkanı verir.
And this, all of it was made possible due to the change to our membership fees policy.
Amma üzvlük haqqları məbləğlərinə gələndə mən yenə deyirəm ki, bu gün onlar da böyük bir məbləğ deyil.
And when coming back to the membership fees themselves, these amounts are not very big for the time being.
Əgər hansısa bir ölkə 1000-1500 evro bir ildə üzvlük haqqı verirsə, biz bunu aylara böləndə hər aya cəmi 100 evro məbləğində pul gəlir.
If one country is paying 1,000, 1,500 euro per
Bu
year,
ən böyük inkişaf
and
etmiş
if we-
ölkələr üçün.
and this is actually for most developed countries, and if we break down and divide it basically by the number of months per year, this is basically 100
Ona
something
görə biz
euros.
çalışmalıyıq ki, bir-birimizə kömək edək.
That is why we do need to help each other
Bizim federasiyamızı irəli aparaq.
to advance and develop our federation.
Və bu da təbii ki, nəticə etibarilə bizim atletlərimizin inkişafına xidmət edir.
And this, of course, will contribute to the development of our athletes.
Təşəkkür edirəm.
Thank you.
Başqa nə sual var?
Please, any other questions?
So, Mr. President, there is a question from the raised hand EAOM. Sorry, I didn't know. Maybe it's from Greece or?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. Hello, Mr.
Hello,
President.
everybody.
Hello.
I'm Kostas Kiachos. I'm the president of the Greek Federation for Disabled People. Hello from Athens. I just one quick question. As you know, we will host the European Championship for Men Goalball Division B in end of June in Thessaloniki. And I want to ask when the official invitation will be uploaded to the IBSA site, because until now it's not uploaded. So all the participating countries can declare their participation officially. You know when it will be uploaded to the IBSA site?
Rüfət, buyur.
Just a second. Give me the. Can I come to you with the question answer in a few minutes?
Okay.
Just go to another question. I will check and come back to you. Thank you very much. The next question, I think, again from the Colombia. There is in the official letter sent in response to the Americas, it mentioned the possibility of holding an assembly by continent or establishing a regional office. All this process progressing, will be there an open call for application? I think you mean about the Americas, like it was in Africa. Amerika Vision belki mi bu arada? Düz asambleye olabilir.
Okay. Ben diyelim. Çok güzel sualdı. Teşekkür ederim.
Thank you. Very good question.
Bu İBSA'nın yeni bir faaliyet istiqamətidir.
This is a new direction for IBSA.
Siz bilirsiniz ki, son zamanlara qədər bütün baş assambleyalarda, İBSA'da regional nümayəndələr, sədrlər seçilir.
You know that at all General Assembly meetings, we did have some regional representatives.
Biz hamımız səs verirdik, hər bir kontinentə bir sədr seçirdik.
We would vote for a chairperson, let's say for a representative.
Amma təəssüflər olsun ki, bu sədrlərin heç bir səlahiyyəti, heç bir fəaliyyəti və heç bir imkanları olmadı.
But unfortunately, these regional representatives, they don't have any authority, a mandate, opportunities, or resources to do anything.
Və onlar öz üzərinə düşən işləri görə bilmirdilər, çünki imkanları yox.
They didn't have any opportunity to do anything. That is why, it wasn't possible for them to accomplish what they wanted.
Beləliklə, İBSA ilə regionlar arasında müəyyən bir vakuum əmələ gəldi.
So there was a certain vacuum, let's say, that was created between the IBSA and the regions.
Bizim yeni fikrimiz İBSA-nı regionlara daha da yaxınlaşdırmaq.
Our new idea is to make IBSA closer to the regions.
Biz İBSA-nın mərkəzi administrasiyasını yaradandan sonra fikrimiz İBSA-nın regional ofislərini yaradılması.
So once we do establish the head office, let's say as a IBSA central office, and we would be able to go on and create the regional offices.
Mən demirəm bunlar böyük bir ofislər olacaq.
I'm not saying that there will be like
2 nəfər, 3 nəfər.
Offices, 2-3 persons.
Amma o olacaq bizim regional ofis və bütün o regionda baş verən məsələləri koordinasiya edəcək və İBSA adından fəaliyyət göstərəcək.
But this will be our regional office, I think, with 3 people there coordinating all the activities in this region and working with us and for us.
Bu bizə imkan verəcək ki, biz regionlarda daha da aktiv olaq və oradan daha da çox informasiya alaq ki, fəaliyyətimizi quraq.
This, of course, will bring us closer to those regions, be active there and collect information and achieve results.
İlk dəfə biz bunu Afrikada müzakirə elədik.
We have discussed this first time in Africa.
New Vision Afrika konfransında.
On the New Vision Africa conference.
Bugün biz həmin növ konfransları Asiyada və Amerikada təşkil olunmasını planlaşdırırıq.
This year we are planning to do it also in Africa and in Asian Americas, this kind of conferences.
Və nəticə olaraq IBSA Afrika, IBSA Amerika ofisinin açılmasını müzakirə edəcəyik.
And we will be discussing IBSA Africa and IBSA America regional offices being open up.
Və beləliklə də IBSA regionlar siyasətini daha da genişləndirir.
And the IBSA is obviously focusing on and is driving its policy in the regions closer to them.
Mən hesab edirəm ki, bu çox düzgün addımdır.
I think it is a very right thing to do.
Hətta biz regionlarda artıq IBSA regional oyunlarının təşkil olunmasını fikirləşirik.
And we are even thinking about IBSA regional games in the regions.
IBSA dünya oyunlarından başqa IBSA Afrika oyunları, IBSA Asya oyunları, IBSA Amerika oyunları, IBSA Avropa oyunları.
Other than of course, IBSA World Games, we have this idea of holding IBSA Asia Games, IBSA Africa, IBSA America, and IBSA Europe Games.
Və beləliklə də biz istəyirik ki, bütün beynəlxalq federasiyaların ən böyük problemini aradan qaldıraq. Regionlara bizim üzvləri daha yaxın olur.
And this is the way how we are planning to address the biggest problem that all international federations have is their proximity and location. And we want to be closer to the regions where we are.
Təşəkkür edirəm.
Thank you.
Növbəti.
Next.
I just checked the question from the Greece. So, Mr. President, we just get 3 days ago the finalized document by your federation, and our IBSA administration checked by the directions, and there is some things which should be fixed. And by the answer from your federation, from the log, it can be published. And if you need assistance, maybe we can have a meeting tomorrow to finalize the document together, and then to download it till the end of the week.
Okay, because it's we have only 4 months until the games and must be rushed a little bit.
Yeah, let's have a meeting tomorrow and finalize the document. And
Okay.
then we can publish it.
Thank you.
Thank you. You are welcome. And there is the question from France, Mr. President. French coach of Paralympic judo team. His first question about the qualification process for the Paralympic Games. We need to know the very precise qualification process in order to plan our strategy. It's very important. About the qualification. Cevap vereyim mi?
Buyurun.
So we have already applied all the documents, all the qualification criteria to IPC last year, and we are waiting for IPC to analyze and to check all these documents. As I know, usually it's gonna be shared in June, July 2026. It's like 2 years before the Paralympics.
Okay,
Usually they are doing.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So it means that we will not get any information before June or July.
It's not for sure, but we are waiting answer from IPC. We already applied all our documents last year. We will take a note, and Mariano, we will check with IPC when we can get the document, and then please type here your email address, and we will send you the notification when the IPC can give this information. Is it okay? Assembly. So there is again question from the Colombia. I think the question is about the women's team. It's about the women's team. Colombia, could you please clarify your question? And it's already, the live session is over, but just for the last question. From the Colombia, could you please clarify your question? Last one.
Morning.
Morning.
Okay, the question is clear. It's about the timelines, because you are saying many clear answers, but we need times for each plans you are having with IBSA for the technical decisions, assembly, and everything. So that's what Americas is saying that they need to know.
Mən cavab verərəm. Təşəkkür edirəm suala görə.
Thank you very much for the question.
Biz müəyyən qədər buna cavab verdik.
I think we partially answered that.
Mən sizə deyim, bizim bütün məsələlər əsası idarə heyətinin iclasında qoyulur və təsdiq edilir.
All of these questions are addressed at the executive board meetings and decisions are made there.
Və orada təsdiq olunan bütün qərarların deadline-ı var, action planı var və icra müddətləri var.
And all of the decisions, they do have the deadline, the timeline, and the action plans associated with that.
Və mən bugün dediyim bütün məsələlərin də konkret tarixləri var.
And whatever I mentioned today in this call do also have a deadline.
Mən sizə sadəcə olaraq xahiş elərdim ki, biz ilk dəfə olaraq bizim rəsmi veb saytımızda idarə heyətinin qərarlarının dərcinə başlamışıq.
It's the first time that we have started publishing the executive board decisions publicly on our official website.
Veb saytda publication razdeli var.
In the publication section of the website,
Ora siz daxil olsanız,
if you navigate, you go to
orada
that,
bütün idarə heyətinin qərarları dərc olunur.
you do have the access to all of the decisions.
Orada bütün tarixlər
You
göstərilir.
have the times.
Ondan başqa əgər idarə heyətinin qərarında tarix göstərilməyibsə, CO-nun xüsusi orderləri olur. Orada qərarlı, tarixli tapşırıqlar var. Onlar da orada dərc olunur.
And if the executive board decision doesn't have a timeline, then it's surely available in the CEO's orders, executive orders separately.
Bundan başqa biz artıq yaxın bir həftəyə 10 günə bir monitoring sisteminin tətbiqini yekunlaşdırırıq.
Other than that, in about 7 to 10 days from now, we are going to conclude our development of the monitoring system.
Bu xüsusi bir platform olacaq.
This is a special platform.
Və həmin platformada İBSA-nın istənilən üzvü daxil olub və İBSA-nın qəbul etdiyi qərarların icrası, tarixləri, tapşırıqları və vəziyyəti barədə məlumat ala biləcək.
So you will be able to go to this platform. It's a portal where you, as any member of IBSA, can go on, log in, and see all of the decisions that are accepted and all of the statuses of the decisions that are being implemented or have been implemented.
Yəni biz çalışırıq ki, bir bağlı, qapalı, yəni aydın olmayan heç nə qalmasın. Hər şey açıq olsun.
We try to do our best to have everything clear, not anything closed or behind the doors. We want it to be transparent.
Və bu yolda mən çox xahiş edərdim ki, bizim üzvlərimizin əlavə bir istəkləri, təklifləri olsa, mütləq bizə bildirin, biz onlardan istifadə edək.
And on this path, of course, I would like to ask for any support from your side. If you have any comments and aspirations, questions regarding this, please do share them and we will be happy to incorporate those.
Təşəkkür edirəm.
Thank you.
Sonra nə sualdır? Buyurun.
There is the Fernando, I think about the women football. Xahiş edirik ki, cavabı təkrarlayaq. We already sent our Fernando, we already sent our application to IMPC about the women football, and we are waiting for their decision. On 24th of February, this is the deadline for IMPC to receive the applications from the IFs, and we already sent it. And after the deadline, they will check and come back to us with the decision about the women football. But we think that we also suggest them not affecting the medal ceremonies, not affecting the budget. And there is the last question from the. So I just got the email address. I just got email address. Bu Fransa onu götürürüm. So about the France, we will come back to you with the answer, but it can take time because IPC now preparing for the Winter Games. And there is the next question, the last question from the Poland. We are there is several questions. Özünüz oxuyursunuz görməm, yoxsa mən oxuyum onları?
Mən deyərəm, cavab verərəm. Təşəkkür edirəm qol-bolla bağlı suala. Bu gün çox belə populyar sualdır.
Thank you very much for the goal ball question. The goal ball issue is quite in demand today.
Mən bilirəm bir çox ölkələri bu narahat edir, mənə müraciət edirlər.
I know that many countries are concerned about it. They tell me about it.
Mən sizə deyim, İBSA Qolbol Komitəsi tərəfindən təsdiq olunmuş qaydalar var.
There are rules adopted by the IBSA Global Committee.
25-ci ildə bunlar təsdiq olunub və indiyənə qədər də qüvvədədir.
They have been adopted in 2025 and are still in effect.
Və bu iyun ayında Çində baş verə biləcək dünya çempionatından bağlı bir çox suallar əmələ gəlir.
And there are questions regarding the Global Championship in June in China.
Ora hansı komandalar daxil oldu, hansılar kənarda qaldı. Bugün çox böyük mübahisələr gedir.
Which countries are going there? Which countries have been left behind? There are a lot of discussion and debate about it now.
Mən bir prezident kimi IBSA Qolbol Komitəsinin işinə müdaxilə etmirəm.
As a IBSA president, I'm not intervening into the activities of the IBSA Global Committee.
Sadəcə olaraq mən şərait yaratmışam ki, bütün qərarlar, hesablamalar və hamısı İBSA-nın rəsmi saytında dərc olunur, açıq şəkildə.
I created a condition for all the decisions and calculations and rationale to be published on IBSA website officially.
Amma razı olmayan ölkələr var.
But there are countries that are not happy about
Mən adlarını çəkməyəcəm.
I don't want to name those.
Təkcə onu demək istəyərdim ki, mən hal-hazırda çox açıqlama verməyə ixtiyarım yoxdur.
I am not in the position of making now certain disclosures or announcement at the moment.
Ölkələr bizim etik və legal komitəyə şikayətlərlə müraciət ediblər.
Those countries have submitted inquiries to our ethics and legal
Hal-hazırda bu
committee.
məsələ baxılmaqdadır.
This is being reviewed at the moment.
Siz bilirsiniz, bizim etik legal komitə çox belə samballı, hörmətli adamlardan ibarətdir.
You know that our ethics and legal committee is made of professional and seasoned experts in this field.
Komitənin sədri bizim hörmətli prezidentimiz Jenny Hammershøy'dur.
Jenny Hammershøy, the chairperson of the committee.
Bizim legal advisor'ımız Stefan və Fransa Handicap Komitəsinin prezidenti Gael üzvlərdir. Hər ikisi də hüquqşünasdır.
And our legal advisor Stefan, as well as the France Handicap, Mr. Gael, also are there in the committee. They are members, and they both are legal professionals.
Onlar bu məsələni hal-hazırda araşdırırlar.
So they are now investigating and researching.
Mən onlara çox inanırım.
I do believe them utmostly.
Və onların istənilən qərarı bizim IBSA üçün belədir. Bu cür siqnalımızı istiyor. Biz onu qəbul edirik.
Any decision will be for us a signal for movement, and we will accept.
Gözləyək onların qərarını.
Let's wait a bit for their decision.
Təşəkkür edirəm.
Thank you.
Başqa nə sual var?
Any other questions?
I think that I don't see any additional questions or anyone who raised their hands. So, dear members, thank you very much for attending the meeting, and I will pass the floor to Mr. Rahimov to make the conclusion.
Rüfət, gəlin belə edək də. Biz biraz bizim bu görüş mətbuat konferansına çevrildi.
Let's do this. This meeting somehow turned into a press conference in a way.
Mən hesab edirəm ki, biz kifayət qədər suallara cavab verdik. Əgər kimisə əlavə sualı olsa, xahiş edirəm yazın, biz onlara da cavab verdik.
I think we have done a good job by answering many questions. If you still have any questions, please write an email to us. We'll be happy to answer.
Amma mən istərdim ki, bugün iştirak edən bizim dostlarımızın, üzvlərimizin fikirlərini də eşidək. Bəlkə kiminsə nəsə təklifi var, bəlkə kimsə çıxış etmək istəyir, buyursun.
But I want this also to be a platform where you have the opportunity to say, if you have any comments, any proposals to make, any announcement, any speech to make, please.
Yəni bu mətbuat konferansını bağlayaq, görüşə başlayaq belə deyək. Bir 5 dəqiqə, 10 dəqiqə kimin nə sözü varsa buyursun desin.
Kind of let's conclude the press conference part of this meeting, and maybe if you have any questions, any comments, any speeches, any feedback or proposal, let's start that part for about 5 or 10 minutes.
Buyurun.
Anyone, please.
If anyone wants to talk, there is the message from Angel Luis, Spain. Thank you very much for all, Mr. President. He has been a meeting, very interesting. Thank you very much, Angel. And by the way, about anti-doping, you know, our anti-doping manager, Juliana, she's based in Spain, in Barcelona. And if you will need any assistance, please contact her. She will be happy to support. Any questions, any messages? So
Gör
there is
kim nəsə demək istəyir desin.
Meşgul. Is there anyone wants to say something?
Juliana danışmaq
Juliana?
istəyir.
Please, Juliana.
I was just waiting for Spain to know me.
Başqa kimisə?
Anyone else?
Bu Gana'nın bir şeyiydi, neyse böyle tam uzun bir meseledir.
Əşi oxumadı.
Uh,
Kiminsə soruş bildim, çıxış eləmək istəyən var.
Anyone else wants to say anything? So Elena, thank you, Elena, for joining the meeting. So Jean Miguel, thank you very much for joining the meeting. So there is only the message. No, I think that no one don't have a söz diyen yok değil mi? Mesajlardan önce.
Yəqin yorulublar.
You're probably tired.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. President.
Yaxşı, onda mən sizə hamınıza təşəkkür edirəm.
Then I conclude by thanking you all.
Bu təbii ki, bizim birinci görüşümüzdür.
This is of course our first meeting.
Ola bilsin ki, nəsə alındı, nəsə alınmadı.
Maybe something worked, something didn't.
Ola bilsin ki, biz daha da formatımızı təkmilləşdirəcəyik.
Maybe we will improve the way we do these things.
Amma əsas odur ki, biz bugün bu ənənəni qoyuruq.
But the most important is that it was laid this foundation.
Və bu ənənəni çalışacağıq ki, periyodik olaraq davam etdirək.
And we will try to continuously have these goals.
Mən bir prezident kimi daimi hamı üçün açığam, ünsiyyətə açığam.
And myself as a president, I'm always open to the conversations with
Bizim
you.
administrasiya gecə-gündüz çalışır.
Our management works day and night. They are also open to any comments.
Və gəlin biz birlikdə IBSA-da gedən islahatları dəstəkləyək, birgə həyata keçirək.
Let's together support these continuous reforms and IBSA and implement them together.
Ancaq bizim əməkdaşlığımız bizə imkan verəcək ki, biz irəli gedək.
Only by joining hands and through cooperation we will be able to advance these
Mən
goals.
əminəm ki, bizim partnyorluğumuz IBSA-nın dünyada ən öndə gedən idman federasiyalarının sırasına daxil edir.
I think this partnership and cooperation will lay the foundation for IBSA to be one of the leading international organizations across the world.
Bir məsələni də qeyd etmək istəyirəm ki, bu il IBSA-nın 45 illiyidir.
One more thing, today IBSA is celebrating its 45th year since its establishment.
Bu böyük bir tarixdir.
It is a landmark date.
Bu 45 ildə IBSA çox irəli gedib.
And during these 45 years, IBSA has gone through many.
Və mən bugünkü fürsətdən istifadə edərək IBSA tarixində rol oynamış, IBSA-nın inkişafına xidmət etmiş bütün insanlara təşəkkür etmək istəyirəm.
And I would like to use this opportunity to, of course, extend my appreciation to everyone who has contributed and served the interest of IBSA.
Biz bu ili yubiley ili kimi elan etmişik və yubiley tədbirlərimizə davam etdirəcəyik.
And this year is a year of anniversary for IBSA, and we will continue holding events to dedicate to the Jubilee.
Bir də təşəkkür edirəm. Gəlin hamımız birlikdə ancaq gedək irəli.
I would like to thank you again. So let's do together work and only move forward to our common goal.
Çox sağ olun.
Thank you very much.
Sağ olun.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Hazır sağ ol. Bu
How are you?
Oğlum,